Good evening. Welcome back to BBarbstat&fact. I'm Brian Barbeau. I do stats and facts about my four favorite sports teams. Today, I'm going to be covering the timeline of between 2005 and 2014 as far as the Toronto Maple Leafs go. There was a litany of things that went wrong for this team, so I'm going to get right into it. And I'm going to break it down every single season. So from 2005 to which was the post-lockout year to 2014 when Brendan Shanahan became the president of Toronto Maple Leafs. So the following goes as such. So 05-06, it was the first year after the lockout. The Leafs finished with a record of 41-33-8. They finished with 90 points. They finished 2 points outside of a playoff spot behind the Tampa Bay Lightning with 90 points. Ultimately missed the playoffs. It was their first time missing the playoffs under head coach Pat Quinn. Eric Lindros, Jason Allison, Eddie Belfour all suffered season-ending injuries. June 24th, 06, the Leafs traded away their 21st overall pick in 2005, which was Tuukka Rask for Andrew Raycroft. How'd that work out? June 30th, the Leafs bought out Ty Domi's contract, and then they eventually opposed picking up the option year on Eddie Belfour's contract as well. Pat Quinn stepped down as head coach. Following season, Paul Maurice was named the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs finished with a record of 40-31-11 with 91 points. They missed the playoffs by a point again, so they missed the playoffs for the second consecutive year. There was one game in particular. It was March 23rd, 2007. Yes, I have this thing with recalling dates. The Leafs had a 4-1 lead in the third period. Oh, what else is new? Against the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Buffalo that year had the best record in hockey. They were one of the best teams in hockey during that era. That season, they were 53-22-7. Or what was there? Yeah. Anyways, they had 113 points that year. Buffalo was one of the best teams. The Leafs had a 4-1 lead in the third period, blew the lead outright, and lost the game outright. I'm not saying just that particular game why they missed the playoffs, but that was one of the reasons. So, last game of the season, the Leafs are playing Montreal, and the Leafs have to win in regulation, and then New Jersey and the New York Islanders played the subsequent day. So the Leafs have to win in regulation, and the Islanders have to beat New Jersey the following day. The Leafs make the playoffs. That's the playoff scenario. Leafs win a wild one game, the last game of the season, 6-5 over the Montreal Canadiens. It was a very roller coaster game. Following day, and I'm watching this game like a hawk. The Islanders are up 3-0, 2-0 with just under 3 minutes to go in the game. Looks like it's over. Doesn't New Jersey come back and tie the game 2-2 and force overtime? Now, keep in mind, the Islanders, all they have to do is win. It doesn't matter if it's a regulation, doesn't matter if it's an overtime or a shootout. New Jersey ties the game, makes a furious comeback. And then in overtime, game goes to overtime, nothing decided. And then the Islanders pull it out 3-2 in a shootout. Wade Duplowitz. Leaf fans remember that name? Wade Duplowitz. The New York Islanders goaltender stole the show. Islanders would eventually lose to the Buffalo Sabres in the playoffs, but that's about as close as the Leafs would get to the playoffs for at least another 7 years. Okay, so the following season goes as such. So 07-08 comes. John Ferguson Jr. Relieved of his duties. He was the GM, the Leafs. Cliff Fletcher, he used to be the Leafs GM, took over again as interim. Leafs finished with 83 points. They missed the playoffs for the third consecutive year, and that is the first time since 1928 that they've missed the playoffs 3 consecutive years. Matt Sundin was in the final year of his contract. He should have waived his no trade clause, and that really and he didn't. That also put us back for years. because we could have got, at this point, the Leafs are getting older. Matt Sundin's in the final year of his contract. This team's about to go into a full-blown rebuild. And with Matt Sundin and Darcy Tucker, not waiving their no trades, you do that and you get back assets. You get first-round draft picks, prospects, in order to build for the future. And for Matt Sundin, we would have got at least a couple first-rounders and then some. It didn't happen. Matt Sundin played his final year in Vancouver. Actually, he scored the shootout winner the following year. May 7, 2008, Maurice was fired as head coach after 2 years. And as well as assistant head coach Randy Ladouceur? Yeah, Ladouceur. 08-09 comes. Ron Wilson, he used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs back when they named a new head coach, as well as Tim Hunter and Rob Zettler as assistant head coaches. November 29th, 2008, Leafs bring in Brian Burke as their new GM, as their 13th non-interim in franchise history. Leafs missed the playoffs for a fourth consecutive year. And on June 26, 2009, Burke and the Toronto Maple Leafs selected Nazem Kadri. And then just subsequent to that, September 18th, 2009, Burke traded away. This is where it really starts going south for this team. Burke trades away 2 first-round draft picks and a second round to Boston in exchange for Phil Kessel. June 31st, 2010, the Leafs involved in a 7-player deal with Calgary, for defenseman Dion Phaneuf. He was their captain. He was their franchise player, and he would later become the new captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, which was announced on June 14th. February 18th, 2011. So this is 2010-2011 season. Leafs trade away their longtime defenseman Thomas Kaberle to the Boston Bruins for prospects Joe Colborne and Bruins first round pick and a second round conditional. Everything benefiting Boston in these trades. Everything benefiting Boston. You wonder why they're still really good. March 2nd, 2012. So the 2011-2012 season. Burke fires Wilson and he hires Randy Carlyle. This move became very controversial because 2 months prior, Wilson had just gotten an extension. So, never really understood that move there. It's so frustrating. Brian Burke was trying to build this team around Phil Kessel and Dion Phaneuf. This is like 2009, between the 2009 and 2013 era. He's trying to build this team around Phil Kessel and Dion Phaneuf. Phil Kessel was and still is been notorious for being a streaky goal scorer. He's a very good offensive player. He's a streaky goal scorer. He's one-dimensional. He does not back check. He doesn't do any of that. Dion Phaneuf, good defenseman, not a player you build a franchise around. 2 really good additions to a team that's contending, but as far as they're and that's all they are. They're not 2 players you build franchises around. They're additions to an already contending team. So just a litany of mistakes made there. January 9th, 2013 was the end of the Brian Burke era as he was relieved as GM. He was replaced by Dave Nonis. The 2012-2013 season was condensed to a 48-game season due to a collective bargaining agreement. The Leafs finished with a 26-17-5 record and break their 9-year playoff drought, only to lose to Boston in 7 games. And y'all remember what happened in Game 7, having a 4-1 lead and blowing it 4-4. Bergeron. One of the biggest collapses in Toronto Maple Leafs history. I've covered this in a few videos. I'm not going to cover it in this one. Oh, yeah, I literally didn't talk to anybody for like a week. Yeah. Sometimes you just losses like that. But then, then again, you know what? Look at where we were playing. We were down 3-1 in that series. They came back, and who would have thought after being down 3-1 to one of the most Goliath hockey teams in the world, who had won the Stanley Cup 2 years prior, to be up 4-1 in Game 7 after being down 3-1 in the series was a miracle in itself. Following season 2013-2014, the Leafs started off 36-24-8. They were in a playoffs position after 68 games, 80 points. The fact that they had that record was a miracle in itself. The Leafs finished the last 14 games 2-12-0. A big time collapse. Then during the offseason, Brendan Shanahan is named president and alternate governor of the Maple Leafs. Then the following year, the Leafs started off the season 2014-2015. Leafs started off the season 19-9-3. They finished 11-35-5. Carlisle was fired after having a record of 21-16-5, 16-3. So the Leafs still had a winning record when he got fired, but they were the 18-wheeler, as Brian Burke liked to reference the Toronto Maple Leafs. The 18-wheeler was starting to slowly fall off the cliff, and it did. Peter Horacek took over as head coach. He was an absolute disaster. The guy pretty much waved the white flag right when he got head coach. He was 28-5, and the team finished with a record of 30-44-8. April 12th, 2015, just after the season concluded, Nonis and Horacek were fired. May 20th, 2015, Mike Babcock was named the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Referenced that the Leaf fans would be going through a lot of pain, still are, and now we have one of the best teams in the league. At least we're a top 10. July 1st, 2015, the Leafs packaged Kessel for a multiplayer deal to Pittsburgh in exchange for prospects Kasperi Kapanen and a conditional first-round draft pick and a third-round draft pick. The Leafs also retained $1.2 million of Kessel's salary for remaining 7 seasons of his contract. And on February 9th, 2016, the Leafs shipped off Dion Phaneuf to Ottawa in exchange for 4 players as well as a 2017 second-round draft pick. The Leafs ultimately finished last in the NHL with 69 points, with a record of 29-42-11 to secure the first overall draft, the first overall pick in the first round for the 2016 NHL draft. And the first time that's happened since the 84-85 season. And take a guess who they would select. Oh, a guy who scored 52 goals in 55 games this year. So that's that timeline. So just a combination of just trading away draft picks for, Andrew Raycroft. Giving away Thomas Caberlet. Just like I reiterated earlier in the video. Phil Kessel, Dion Phaneuf. Dion Phaneuf, classy guy. Don't get me wrong. He was a classy guy, but he was not what we needed. And yeah, just a litany of mistakes this team made between 05 and 16. So, anyways, that is that timeline, and that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it just as much as we did producing it. We will be producing another video in the foreseeable future. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, leave some comments down below. Thank you for your support. I want to know what you guys think about this. about this timeline between 2005 and 2016. It was as bad can get. Just leave some comments down below. What were your thoughts about Phil Kessel's tenure as a Leaf? What were your thoughts about Dion Phaneuf's tenure as a Leaf? Yeah, so I'm out. Thank you for your support. And don't forget to click subscribe. Have a nice day.